You have been applying your power all along. You have been applying your power your whole entire life, and you probably didn't even know it. You probably didn't even realize it. And part of the reason why you didn't realize that you've been applying your power this whole time is because you weren't seeing what you believed you needed to see in order to know that you were applying your power, right? You weren't seeing the blessings, you weren't seeing the benefits of applying your power, right? If I'm applying my power, I should be able to see the fruits. I should be able to see the evidence, right? And you weren't seeing the evidence that you would consider to be positive evidence, or that you would consider to be desirable evidence, right? But the reality is that you have been applying your power this whole time. The question becomes, once we say, okay, I've been applying my power this whole time, the question then becomes, have I been applying my power in a way to where my power works in my favor? Or have I been applying my power in a way where my power is working against me? Right? So that's the question. Am I applying my power in a way where my power is working for me? Or am I applying my power in a way where my power is working against me? Right? So your power expresses itself in many different ways. This inner authority, this power that dwells within you, that dwells within everything that you can see and cannot see, that you can touch and cannot touch, that power that lives, that dwells within everything within our universe, that power lives within you. That power dwells within you. That power is what fuels your experience here as a human being, right? And that power expresses itself in many different ways, okay? That power expresses yourself as your thoughts. That power expresses itself as your words. That power expresses itself as your actions. That you can see, you can identify how you are expressing your power. You can identify how you are using or utilizing your power by reflecting on by reflecting on the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, right? Not just those major decisions that resulted in you maybe making mistakes, or those major decisions that you have to make, that you may have to make that you're expecting to change your life. But in the day-to-day decisions, right? In the day-to-day decisions and choices that you make, you'll be able to see how it is that you are expressing your power. You'll be able to identify what kind of relationship you have with your power as you begin to integrate self reflection, right? As you really begin to reflect as you're moving throughout your day, because a lot of times, whenever it comes to self reflection, we reflect at the end of the day, or we wake up early and we reflect at the beginning of the day. But as you're moving throughout the day, when you are moving with awareness, you have the ability to reflect, right? As you're moving throughout the entire day. And so here, here's the thing that I'm hearing right now. Interject this thought right here. This thought is intercepting, right? As you're moving throughout the day, you want to begin to practice reflecting, right? And this is almost, it ties into using discernment. So this is what discernment is, okay? Discernment is reflecting prior to making a decision, right? So when we talk about using discernment, when we talk about integrating discernment or implementing discernment, what we're talking about is taking out the time, taking out a moment, taking a moment to reflect prior to making a decision. A lot of times we make decisions and then we reflect, and then the whatever it is that we make the decision on, it happens, it occurs, we move with it, and then after we've made the decision, we reflect, right? We reflect on, well, how could I have done this differently? Or if I would have made this decision, how would that have turned out, right? So practicing discernment is doing the reflecting prior to making the decision, right? And so this is within every moment of every day as you're moving throughout the day, even with the little things, right? So you know that you should practice eating healthier. Okay, you know that you should practice eating healthier. So as you're moving throughout the day, maybe you didn't pack your lunch, maybe you haven't learned how to really be consistent in meal prepping yet, but as you're moving throughout your day, you have the opportunity to have lunch. And there's that moment before you order your food or before you eat whatever it is that you're, preparing to eat. That moment before you make the decision about what it is that you're going to eat, there's always that moment before. It's always like a subtle voice that's there that causes us to pause, reflect, question, internalize, and then decide. And it all happens so quickly, right? That moment it's not like you're taking 10 minutes to order because you just don't know what you want to eat, right? Sometimes it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to order whenever you're just out and about with friends and you don't know what you want to eat. But when you're practicing or when you're wanting to be a little bit healthier, that moment before you make the decision about what you're going to eat, that moment happens really quickly, right? That's not a 10-minute moment. That's a 10-second moment. I have to use my discernment here. I have to make a decision about how I'm going to apply my power in this moment. Right? And so that conversation, the reason why it appears that moment is happening so quickly is because the internal conversation has always been taking place. The internal conversation was already taking place. And sometimes if we are living with awareness, then we're most likely aware of that internal conversation that has been taking place. So whenever it comes time to make the decision in real time, it's as easy as saying yes or no, right? In that moment, because we've already been aware of this internal conversation. So now that I'm having to make the decision in real time based off of that internal conversation that's been taking place, how am I going to apply my power in this moment? Right? So this is why the conversation started with, you have been using your power, you have been applying your power all along, and you probably weren't even aware of it. Or not even that you weren't aware of it, just because the results of you applying your power didn't look like how you thought it should look, you didn't make the connection that that's you applying your power. It's just you applying your power in an unfavorable way, right? And so now that you are aware that my thoughts are my power expresses itself through my thoughts, my power expresses itself through my words, through my actions, through the decisions that I make. Okay, and that's key. Through your thoughts, through your words, through your actions, through your decisions that you make, your power expresses itself in those ways. So now you can say, okay, well, are my thoughts favorable thoughts, right? Are my thoughts favorable thoughts? If they're not, you can say, well, I want to redirect my power towards more favorable thoughts. Because right now your power is being directed, your power is going somewhere, but it's being directed towards unfavorable thoughts. So this is why self-reflection is important, because you look at your thoughts and you can say, okay, I am applying my power in the direction towards unfavorable thoughts. I want to make a shift and I want to begin to direct my power, right? Because your power isn't just going in the direction of unfavorable thoughts on its own. Okay? And so your power isn't going to shift in the direction of more favorable thoughts on its own. Because who is behind the power? You are. You are. You are the power. I am that I am. You are the power. You are the power, right? And you are not separate and apart from the power. The power dwells within you. The power is you. The power is fueling your experience. You are not separate and apart from the power, from your power. You are one with this power. So the power flows where you allow it to flow. Your power flows. The power flows where you allow it to flow. And it's a daily practice, right? If you want to shift the direction in which you are allowing your power to flow, it's a daily practice, which it goes back to as you're moving throughout the day. Self-reflection isn't just for morning time or evening time before you're going to bed. Self-reflection is for all those little moments throughout the day. You're working on being more responsible with your money, of being a better steward over your finances. Okay, you see something that you want, or yes, you see something that you want. So you're like, do I really need to purchase that right now, or can I? Those are the moments where you self-reflect, where you reflect. You listen to that and you recall that internal conversation. You say, okay, I've had this conversation with myself. The internal conversation that I'm having with myself in regards to my finances is I want to be a better steward. I want to be a better steward over what I've been given. I want to be more responsible. And so that conversation, recalling that conversation, will help you decide what decision it is that you should make. However, right, whatever decision you make, you are applying your power. If you make the decision to purchase what it is that you want to purchase, or if you make the decision to kind of hold off on it, you're utilizing your power either way. But are you utilizing your power in a way that is favorable or unfavorable? That's what you have to start looking at, right? So you have been applying your power all along, and you can apply this to anything, right? One example that I can give a lot of examples actually, but one example that I can give, and I share this story all the time because it's a story of just self-doubt. It's a story of having low self-esteem, no self-confidence. So whenever I was younger, or whenever I was in middle school, I played softball for most of my life. I didn't play in high school. The reason why is because when I was in middle school, my coach wanted me to, there was a skill that she wanted me to work on getting better at, right? And it wasn't clicking for me. So I used my power against myself, right? I used my power against myself. I didn't believe that I could conquer this skill. So instead of practicing and doing what I could and believing that I could do it, I quit. I had also tried out for 8th grade cheerleading, and I made the squad. So I used the excuse that I don't want to do cheerleading and softball at the same time, even though cheerleading, that was just a fluke, and softball was my first love, right? But I was using my power against myself, right? Because my power was still being directed in the direction, I was still applying my power in the direction of unfavorable beliefs, unfavorable thoughts about myself, about what I could do, instead of directing my power in the way of, you know what, I believe in myself. I know I can conquer this skill. I know I can do it. I'm a better than good softball player at a young age, but that wasn't there, right? I didn't apply my power in that direction. So then I ended up missing out on something that I really loved, right? And we do this to ourselves all the time, right? We do this to ourselves all the time. We're always directing our thoughts in a very unfavorable direction. And so now the invitation, the call is for you to just be aware that you've always been applying your power. And now, especially if you're hearing this video, especially if you've made it to this point, okay, you now are aware that, okay, if I want to make a change, if I want to create the shift, if I want to experience a shift, then and not egotistical but then I really have to give myself permission to create the shift. I have to begin to see that it's on me, right? It's on me to create that shift. It's on me to be even more aware of myself, right? And here's the thing that I want to say too before shutting it down is that as you are changing the direction in which you are applying your power, there will be moments when there will be these emotional moments that you experience, very emotional moments that you experience, because you're really going to see the mental battle. You're really going to see the mental battle that has been occurring, right? Because it's almost like you're going to be bringing more attention and more awareness to that mental battle that's been going on, that's been playing out, right? And you're going to see it. And here's the reason why there will be these intense emotional moments, right? It's going to bring up emotion. And part of the reason why is because you're going to be looking at it. You're going to be looking on at your past. You're going to be reflecting, and you're not going to be looking at your past in a judgmental way, but you're going to be reflecting, looking at your past and reflecting, and almost like seeing, especially your inner child and your younger self, and how you didn't know, obviously, when you were younger, how to direct your power in a favorable way. And so you're going to be looking back on those moments, right? Like me, with the whole softball thing, I had to work through that, and I have worked through that, and I had to really forgive myself, but I also had to mourn for that version of myself, right? Because she just didn't know. She wasn't aware of this power that she had, and she didn't know how to apply this power in a favorable way, right? So that's where the emotion is going to be coming from. It's going to be coming from you mourning on behalf of certain versions of yourself as you are moving through the process of forgiving yourself, right? As you are moving through the process, what was the conversation, the heart-to-heart conversation for this month, for September, is forget the pain and remember the love. God wants you to forget the pain and remember love, all right? So there may be these painful moments in your past where you can clearly see, I was not using my power or applying my power in a favorable way, and it created this painful experience for you. There was this pain around that moment. And so you're going to be forgetting the pain and remembering love, and just holding those versions of yourself in love, and forgiving yourself for not using your power in a favorable way. All right. So that's where the emotion is going to come from. But It's not so that you can hold yourself hostage. It's not so that you can become depressed and anxious and dwell in that. It's so that you can release, right? So that you can create, you're creating this space for yourself to release the pain, to release the narrative that you are unaware of your power, right? So let me know in the comments how this conversation resonated with you. You have been applying your power all along and you just weren't aware. And now you are aware, and now you have the ability to begin practicing applying your power in a more favorable way. And remember to notice the little ways as you're moving throughout your day. How can I apply my power in a favorable way, even in this conversation, right? Even in this conversation, when I would usually sink or not speak up, that was you applying your power, but in an unfavorable way. How can I begin to apply my power in a favorable way, even in this conversation? And as you begin applying your power in favorable ways, even in the small moments, you will begin to see your confidence grow. You will begin to see this energy of distrust that you had, right? We talked about this in the previous conversation of God will bless whatever decision you make. You will begin to see that distrust dissipate. All right. So go at it. Go do it. Go put everything that you are into this process of applying your power in a favorable way, right? Things may fall away. People may fall away because you're going to be letting your yes be yes and letting your no be no, because you know that in doing so, because you're practicing applying your power in a more favorable way. So if something really doesn't resonate, you're not going to go with it. You're not going to apply your power in that direction, right? Okay. I obviously could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, because this conversation has been playing over and over for a few days now, and there's so much, and maybe there will be a part 2, who knows? But I love you all so much. You are a powerful being. You always have been since the very beginning of time. Since the very beginning of time, your power has moved throughout many, 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 many dimensions, many, 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 many different times. So start living as if you know. Start living as if you know. All right? I love you. Bye.